Thank you, everyone, so much for being here today. We are here to talk about children, our precious children. Mayor Demings has received a report which details needs regarding children and the methodological methods that he will require to address the critical needs financially. He will also discuss the committee empowered to advise him and the commission on these matters. Mayor Demings.
Let me begin by saying thank you to all of you for being here this morning. I want to announce the release of the Children's Services final report. Specifically, this includes a review of the established Children's Services Councils in Florida and Orange County government's funded children's programs and services. In April of 2018, the Board of County Commissioners authorized a study to determine the appropriate level of funding for children's services in Orange County and the best way to administer these funds. The final report was prepared by Forefront Consulting, an independent third party selected by the Orange County Board of County Commissioners. We have a representative here today, should there be any questions that will come up subsequent to this. The consultants were tasked to make recommendations to the board on how additional funding can be utilized to address the level of service gaps for children and determine what additional processes the county should pursue to make an informed decision. The report can best be described as having both good news and some bad news in it as well. As outlined in the report, we know that the data must drive the decision-making process. The bad news is that the report points out errors in prior gap analysis previously provided in the Children's Trust and UCF reports. However, we also know that the additional children's services are needed. The good news is that we now have the locations where we can have the greatest impact here in Orange County. If you see here, there's a map of identified zip codes where juvenile arrests occurred between 2017 and 2018. This gives us a geographical area by which that we can focus in. Here in Orange County, we have a total of 53 zip codes, but the assessment revealed 9 zip codes consistently accounted for most of the youth experiencing high levels of poverty, juvenile arrests and detentions, dependency involvement, abuse or neglect, teen pregnancies, and infant mortality. We are focused on evidence-based practices and performance-based outcomes. We will engage our citizens and community partners through a series of focus groups, stakeholder interviews, and community meetings to solicit community input around youth services needed. In the coming months, we also plan to launch a website to obtain countywide input from our residents and advocates concerning children's programming and services in our neighborhoods and communities. And we continue to highlight the existing children's services in Orange County today. In terms of the good news, I would say that we are already committing $67.2 million to children's services. Early childhood education, we are spending approximately $19.1 million. In terms of strengthening of children and families, $15 million. Juvenile justice or prevention and foster care, $13.7 million. Educational enrichment, $12.7 million. Mental and physical health, $6.7 million. More good news that we will share with you today is that the county has already committed $20 million in new recurring funding for children's services for a total of over $87 million that will target the areas of the greatest need here in Orange County. We have revamped and expanded the governance structure of the Citizens Commission for Children and Citizens Review Panel that will focus on data-driven decision-making processes. Through the expansion of the governing structure, we will add 5 members to the Citizen Commission for Children, which will include the following: the Honorable Robert Egan, Administrative Circuit Judge of the Orange County Juvenile Division of the 9th Judicial Circuit; Dr. Kevin Sharon of the Florida Department of Health in Orange County, Christy Gray of the Florida Department of Children and Families. There will also be a representative from the Orange County Public Schools superintendent or designee, and a member of the Orange County School Board. With the release of this report and a deeper dive into the data, we now have a more comprehensive understanding of the areas of the greatest need. I've asked Mr. Lonnie Bell, Family Services Director and Forefront Consulting, to provide the board with a full work session on children's services and the 173-page final report at a future board meeting. We must be strategic about our investment in children's services and looking at the community and zip code level recommendations outlined in this report that will provide the county with a roadmap to enhance service delivery where it's needed most for our children and families. We are promising our citizens a transparent process based upon facts and performance measures that will be key. Our goal is to begin distribution of the unallocated $20 million set aside by the Board of County Commission within the next 60 days. The program services will address juvenile prevention, early childhood education and care, mental and physical health, child and student homelessness. Now, as I kind of conclude my comments, it is clear that county government is not, cannot, and should not be the sole entity addressing the needs of the county's families and children. We want to work in partnership with the public and private entities to leverage our resources. Those other entities include our schools, law enforcement, community foundations, scouting, United Way, other non-governmental organizations who support children and family initiatives in this community. Today, I am joined by a number of community partners who are present here, who are standing with myself and the members of the Board of County Commission. They represent Coordinated Care for Children, 4C, Mr. Pat Frank, from the Experience Christian Center, Pastor McRae, from Operation Reach Back Orlando, Ms. Leslie Ahanke, from the Community Impact, Hugh Jacobs, the New Journey Youth Center, Danielle Yarborough, Man Up Mentoring, Samantha Wallace, and then also we have the Vice Chair, Norman Ahmad Ansari of the Orange County Citizens Commission for Children Advisory Board, and then various staff members. And again, we also have Mr. Keith Carr, the principal from Forefront Consulting, who are here this afternoon. At this time, we'll entertain a few questions. Okay.
Well, I'm kind of curious. How do you reach some families who may be proud or may not, may somehow feel disenfranchised from the system about getting this aid? How do you connect the right people?
I think our referrals will, again, come from within the community itself, and many times, yes, families have a certain degree of pride, but from the interaction at our various schools, sometimes our school teachers and others see certain needs, and they certainly can be a referral source for us. At the end of the day, our ultimate goal is to ensure that within a relatively short period of time, after going through our various procurement processes, we're able to get the $20 million into the hands of the organizations and ultimately the families and the children in need of services. And we want to do that within the next 60 days to start that process.
Can you talk a little bit more about the website? Did you say that that's how people can get on to see if they can maybe get some of this money?
Yes. I'm going to ask Mr. Lonnie Bell, our Family Services Department head, to come up and to kind of talk through that with you a bit.
Thank you, Mayor. The website will be available to provide input on services that are being provided. We'd like to hear from the community, not just prior to while we're doing the study. We'd like to hear ongoing from the community as to what is working, what is not working. So it'll be a tool that folks can refer to. They can look at the study. They can look at other reports related to children's services. And so that is the goal for that, for the use of the website moving forward. Does that help?
What services out there do you feel like have been effective and are working?
I feel there's a lot of services that are working. We have a very successful after-school program. We are providing services in every middle school in unincorporated Orange County to provide programs for children after school in middle school so that they do not go home unattended. Gives them something constructive to do, and it's just not a babysitting service. We're involved in programs, activities, coding, computers. There's the arts. There's many things that we're looking at in those programs that are provided by Orange County Public Schools in partnership with Orange County, as well as the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA. It's a very successful program.
And what services do you see that don't exist yet that you would like to see?
I think what we'd like to see is a more targeted approach to some of our problem areas. As the mayor mentioned, the map, the zip codes that show up in a lot of the data in terms of juvenile arrests, DCF reports. We want to focus in on those areas, and that's what we're looking to do. There was a question as to the families that are maybe not in the loop currently, and we hope to utilize organizations, many that are represented this morning, to get to those individuals. There's people in this community, organizations in this community that are doing great work. However, we want to go a little deeper. We want to utilize some grassroots organizations in the 328 zip code, as example, to really get to these organizations, or families, I should say, that we haven't been able to reach to with other services.
Now, is there any new or innovative techniques that you're using to expand these programs or offer something completely new that these children or families haven't seen before?
Well, that's going to come from the community. We're going to present this money. This money is going to be available, and we're going to solicit applications from the community as to how they would like to impact. And so we'll be evaluating those. Certainly, we don't have the answer. The mayor mentioned that we're just one of the partners in this community that provides services. And so we're looking for our community-based organizations to present innovative options to us to consider for funding to really make an impact in the areas that we're looking to connect with.
The study says you compared this to 10 other counties. How does Orange County compare to those 10 counties, and how have those other counties improved by adding these other services?
Okay, I'll probably refer to Mr. Carr with that. I'll just say that we fare favorably with the 10 counties that have a children's services tax. I think if you look through when you look through the report, you'll see that very, very clearly. And so I feel that Orange County has always been a leader in children's services without having a children's services tax. And I think when you look at the report and you look at the data, you'll see that yourself.
Are these some of the most desperate counties in need for Florida that need these extra services? How would you rank Orange County in that department?
Okay, I would refer to Mr. Carr for that.
Good morning. My name is Keith Carr. Good afternoon, rather. My name is Keith Carr. I'm the principal of Forefront Consulting. This is a great day for the focus of improving the lives of children in Orange County. Our approach to the report was engagement and statewide. So we looked at the current structure around children's services councils in the state of Florida. There are 10 of those. 8 of those are independent and 2 are dependent. Our focus was really to try to look at the most comparable counties, and there are 5 of those in size and scope that are most comparable to Orange County. We used that approach. We engaged all 10 CSCs, if you would, across the state. There's some comparisons in program models, but what I can tell you is that every single county, every single community has a different focus. It's unique. It's based on problems. It's based on indicators for risk that are specific to that county. So you'll see some things that are comparable, and you'll see some things that are not comparable specifically because there's a focus by that county that is important to that county and some results they're trying to reach. The other thing we did was really recommend 5 strong areas in the report that have been mentioned here by the mayor. Our approach was to really look at where the risks were. So previous reports went very macro in scope. We went very micro. So that means that we looked at community level, and we believe that this is a roadmap for the county to consider being more strategic in its approach in providing services. They're going to team with many of these organizations, some here and some not here. In that approach, we believe that the website, and a website is accessible in an early stage development. I want to preface that. It's early stage, so you'll see several iterations as it grows and also expands. That website is orangecountyczss.org. Again, that's orangecountyczss.org. So with that, you'll see the existing approach of a strong array of programs that are existing with the county right now, but you'll also see some information later on as the awards are made, and the approach and the focus, which will be results-based accountability. You'll see in the report that we focused on an evidence-based approach, and that included the CTC model, which is the Communities That Cares model. There's 4 domains in that. So as you look through the report, it'll focus on domains around family, community, individual, education, and everything's connected to those. So our approach, you will see that when we looked at the 53 counties and we teamed with many of the departments across the county, with your local DCF, with your local juvenile justice, to really pull information and call out what we thought was important for the county to consider as it really built an approach. So the county's going to use some innovation. That means data will drive the decision making. We hope that this kicks that off. But they will also begin to look at accountability as it's built into the RFPs there, or the request for information or invitations to negotiate from those organizations that will look at teaming with the county to provide this service to the community. So we're excited about this. We're certainly focused on moving the county forward in this direction, and so the county sees a good return on its investment for its citizens. Yes,
What
ma'am.
I'm looking for is for the viewers to understand more than just the data. You say 9 out of 53 counties are the problem areas. Is that significant? Is that a crisis? Is it urgent? Is that average? Is that not a lot? How does Orange County, what is the state of the children in Orange County?
So you have to understand, in order for you to identify, you have to get to the source. We believe this gets more to the source. Other reports and other information that's has been developed has been very broad. I mean, the county has a homelessness problem. The county has a juvenile justice arrest problem. You can't just say that. For us, we need to be very specific about where is that problem. Where is that zip code? Where is that community? Where is that neighborhood? And where is that street? So for us, we needed to make sure that we focused on giving the county precise information. The county, in terms of its comparison, it is no different than some of the larger organizations, communities, and counties across the state. So the comparisons you will see, for example, with a Miami-Dade, or with a Palm Beach County, or Jacksonville in Duval County, Hillsborough across the corridor in I-4. Very comparable, but specifically each of those counties has taken an approach that is focused on what is the problem for that county, and Orange County has done the same. So we believe that what you will see is that the county will take this data and be more strategic. It will team strategically. It will also build an accountability so that we reach the outcomes that are focused on the risk that we identified in the report. So it's important that we use data and we use outcomes and we monitor practice to see the reductions or the increases we need to see as we work with the county on this project. So we're looking forward to it. Again, our focus was to be objective. Our focus was to be independent, but also to be very critical where we needed to be, but also informative and really offer practical information that anyone can read and get something out of the report. So we feel that we've done that, and we're looking forward to working with the county moving forward in that direction.
So when viewers see this map, is it safe for them to assume that most of the money is going to go to the areas that are the darkest red and then the orange, and then maybe some of the areas that aren't very bright aren't going to get a lot of money?
Let me just say this. when we look at those systemic issues throughout the county, in many of the risk factors, as much as 60% of some of the challenges are within these 9 zip codes. That does not mean that we will not continue to spend money countywide to address children's issues, but in terms of the priority and where the greatest needs are, it will be in these 9 particular zip codes. And so that gives us a strategy long-term to get the greatest return on our investment of spending taxpayer dollars in these respective areas. So hopefully that answers your question. It does not mean, again, that we will not be spending money countywide as well.
One more question.
Yes.
One more question.
Okay.
In terms of what, I guess how people are going to see this play out in their neighborhoods, can you tell us kind of what the next step is?
I believe that you're going to see community-based organizations. In many cases, in some of these zip codes, you will have organizations that provide certain services that are unique to that particular area. So it will be closer to where the need is, and that is something that we will depend on our Children's Commission to, over time, to help us focus the expenditure of the dollars in appropriate areas. And so we're beginning that whole process. And so within the next 60 days, you will see these funds beginning to go to these empowerment zones, community-specific areas throughout Orange County, and in particular in these 9 areas. So thank you all again for being here. Hopefully this was informative to all of you as well.